The boardroom smelled like coffee and betrayal. I sat at the mahogany table my grandfather had custom-built in 1987, watching my family take turns dismantling everything I'd worked for. Aaron's approach has been emotional, my Uncle Ray said, not looking at me. The clients need stability, not sentiment. Across from me, my cousin Evan nodded along, his expensive suit catching the light from the floor-to-ceiling windows. The same windows I'd cleaned when I was 16, learning the business from the ground up. We think it's time for new leadership, Ray continued. Someone with a more modern vision. Evan has some excellent ideas for restructuring. I looked at my father, waited for him to say something. Anything. He'd promised me just last week that my position as VP of Operations was secure, that Grandpa's legacy was safe with our family. He stared at his notes, said nothing. So we're prepared to offer you a buyout, Ray said, sliding papers across the table. Very generous. 6 months salary, full benefits for a year. 6 months. For 10 years of work. For the late nights and early mornings. For every client relationship I'd built, every process I'd streamlined, every employee I'd mentored. You're firing me? We're restructuring, Evan said smoothly. Nothing personal. Just business. But it was personal. It had always been personal. Ever since Grandpa died 2 years ago and left me the VP position instead of Evan. Ever since I'd pushed back on Ray's plan to outsource manufacturing overseas. Ever since I'd refused to compromise on the quality standards Grandpa had spent 40 years building. I need your answer by end of day, Ray said. Otherwise, we'll have to move forward with termination. I looked at my father one more time. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood up, left the papers on the table, and walked out of the boardroom my grandfather built. The one that bore his name. The one I'd just been exiled from by people who'd never understood what he was trying to build. My name is Aaron Castellano. I'm 34 years old, and until yesterday, I was Vice President of Operations at Castellano Manufacturing, the company my grandfather founded in 1985. I grew up in that factory. Spent summers sweeping floors and organizing inventory. Grandpa Sal taught me everything: how to read blueprints, how to negotiate with suppliers, how to treat workers with respect instead of just as resources. He was old school, believed in American manufacturing when everyone else was chasing cheaper labor overseas, believed in quality over quantity, believed that if you took care of your people, they'd take care of your business. I went to college for mechanical engineering, came back with ideas about process improvement and lean manufacturing. Grandpa listened to every proposal, implemented the ones that made sense, trusted me in ways the rest of the family never did. When he died, he left me the VP position in his will. Not to my father, his son. Not to Uncle Ray, his business partner. To me. The family was furious, but Grandpa's will was clear. He'd written a letter that was read at his funeral. Aaron understands what this company is really about. Not just profit, but purpose. Not just products, but people. She'll keep us honest. They tolerated me for 2 years, undermined me quietly, made decisions without including me, hired consultants who mysteriously always agreed with Evan's flashy ideas over my practical ones, and now they'd finally pushed me out. I packed my office alone. No one came to say goodbye. Coworkers I'd worked with for years suddenly needed to be somewhere else. My assistant, Maria, was the only one brave enough to stop by. "This is wrong," she whispered. "Mr. Sal would be furious. Mr. Sal isn't here anymore. I'm so sorry, Aaron." "Me too." I loaded boxes into my car. A decade of work reduced to 4 cardboard containers. Framed photos of product launches. Awards for safety records. Thank you notes from long-time employees. And at the bottom of my desk drawer, a folder I'd almost forgotten about. Heavy paper, sealed with wax. My grandfather's handwriting on the front. "For Aaron. Open when the time is right." He'd given it to me a month before he died. Made me promise to keep it safe. I'd tucked it away, waiting for the right moment. Sitting in my car in the parking lot I'd pulled into every morning for 10 years, I realized the right moment had arrived. I didn't open the folder until I got home. Sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine I definitely needed and carefully broke the wax seal. Inside was a letter in Grandpa's shaky handwriting and a stack of technical drawings. Designs I'd never seen before. Products that looked familiar but different. Better. The letter was dated 3 months before he died. My dearest Aaron, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Either I'm gone, or the company has forgotten what it stands for. Probably both. I've watched Ray for 40 years. He's a good salesman but a terrible leader. He sees dollar signs where I see people. He'll compromise quality for profit every single time. And your father? He's weak, sweetheart. I love him, but he doesn't have the spine to stand up to his brother. He'll let Ray destroy everything I built just to avoid conflict. That's why I'm giving you this. These designs are products I've been developing for 5 years. Improvements on everything we make. Better materials, smarter engineering, built to last generations instead of years. I never showed them to Ray or your father. I knew what they'd do. Cut corners, outsource. Slap our name on inferior products and call it progress. But you understand. You know that quality isn't just a selling point, it's a promise. A legacy. These designs are yours. I've already filed the patents in your name. All the documentation is in the safety deposit box at First National. Box 472. The key is taped to the back of this letter. If the company ever forgets who we are, build something that reminds them. Show them what we could have been if they just trusted the foundation instead of chasing trends. I believe in you, Aaron. I always have. Love, Grandpa Sal. I read the letter 3 times, cried through all 3 readings. Then I spread the designs across my kitchen table and studied them until dawn. The buyout money lasted 3 months. I used it to pay rent on a tiny apartment and buy groceries. Sent resumes to every manufacturing company within 50 miles. No one was hiring. Or more accurately, no one wanted to hire the VP who'd been pushed out of her family company. Ray had made sure to spread the word that I'd been let go for performance issues. I took a part-time job at Mike's Machine Shop, a small operation that did custom fabrication and repairs. The owner, Mike Huang, was 68 and didn't care about industry gossip. You know your way around a lathe? He asked during my interview. My grandpa taught me when I was 12. Good enough. 20 an hour, under the table. I can't afford to pay proper wages right now. It wasn't much, but it was honest work. And it gave me access to tools. I rented a storage unit across town. Cheap, climate-controlled, just big enough for a workbench and basic equipment. Spent my evenings there, building prototypes from Grandpa's designs. The unit smelled like metal and oil and possibility. Like Grandpa's old workshop, where he'd taught me that building something real was worth more than talking about building something someday. Filing the patents took 6 months. The designs were complex, the applications even more so. I couldn't afford a patent attorney, so I did it myself. Late nights reading legal documents, double-checking every specification, making sure everything was airtight. The first patent approval came on a Tuesday. I was at Mike's shop, elbow deep in an engine repair, when the email arrived. Patent USWON 0847392 approved. Inventor, Aaron Castellano. I read it 5 times to make sure it was real. Mike noticed my face. Good news? I just officially own something my family can never touch. Congratulations, kid. The other patents followed over the next 2 months, 7 in total. Every major product category my family's company manufactured, improved, and legally protected under my name. I built a website using a free template. Nothing fancy, just clean photos of the prototypes, clear specifications, and a simple shopping cart. Castellano Quality Tools. Built to last generations. I launched with 3 products. Wrenches with better grip and leverage. Levels that were more accurate and durable. Tool chests with smarter organization systems. I shipped everything by hand from my storage unit, packing each order carefully, including handwritten thank you notes the way Grandpa used to. The first month, I sold 12 units. Barely enough to cover materials, but it was a start. Month 3, something changed. A retired carpenter in Michigan bought one of my wrench sets. Posted a TikTok video showing the difference between my tools and the ones he'd been using for 30 years. This is what quality used to mean, he said in the video. Before everything became disposable, this young woman is building tools the way my father's generation did. Real craftsmanship. The video got 400,000 views in 2 days. My website crashed from traffic. Orders flooded in faster than I could fulfill them. My email inbox exploded with questions, praise, and requests for more products. I worked around the clock. Mike let me use his shop after hours to keep up with production. I hired a neighbor's kid to help with packing and shipping. That month, I sold 340 units. The month after that, 890. My storage unit was too small. I rented a small warehouse space. Bought real equipment. Hired 3 part-time workers, people who'd been laid off from other manufacturing jobs and just needed a chance. Every penny I made went back into the business. No fancy office, no expensive marketing. Just quality products and word of mouth from customers who couldn't believe tools could still be made this well. I built slow and steady. No debt, no outside investors, no shortcuts. Bought better equipment when I could afford it. Hired more workers when demand justified it. Expanded my product line based on customer requests, not trends. Within a year, I had 15 employees. A 5,000 square foot warehouse. A reputation for quality that was spreading through trades communities online. Every night, I'd look at Grandpa's letter on my wall and remember why I was doing this. Not to prove my family wrong, though, that was a bonus. But to prove Grandpa right. To show that his way still worked. That quality and integrity could compete in a world obsessed with cheap and fast. I never posted about my family's company. Never mentioned them in interviews. Just focused on building something real, but I watched them. Couldn't help it. Their website, their social media, their quarterly reports that were public record. And I noticed things starting to crack. 18 months after they pushed me out, I heard through industry contacts that Castellano Manufacturing was struggling. Evan's big redesigned cheaper materials, flashy packaging, aggressive pricing had launched with huge marketing spend. Billboards, trade shows, influencer partnerships, the products looked modern. Tested well in focus groups, got featured in industry magazines as the future of American manufacturing. Then customers started actually using them. Tools broke after months instead of years. Precision instruments weren't precise. The quality control issues that I'd always caught were now making it to customers. Reviews tanked. Longtime clients, contractors, and shops who'd trusted the Castellano name for decades started looking elsewhere. My former assistant Maria texted me, 3 major accounts canceled this month. Ray is panicking. Evan is. Blaming everyone except himself. Your dad just looks tired. I didn't respond, just noted the information and kept building. The order came through on a Wednesday morning. Bulk purchase, 500 units. Commercial shipping address in Cleveland. I recognized the name immediately. Hendricks Supply, one of the biggest tool distributors in the Midwest. They'd been buying from Castellano Manufacturing for 30 years. Now, they were buying from me. I called the buyer, a guy named Tom I'd known from trade shows. Tom, just confirming this order. You sure about the quantity? Absolutely. Aaron, I don't know if you know this, but your stuff is replacing your old company's products on our shelves. I didn't know that. Your tools are better. Simple as that. We're getting feedback from contractors that they last 3 times longer. We can charge more because the quality justifies it. Win-win. And Castellano Manufacturing? We dropped them last month. Too many returns, too many complaints. Whatever happened after you left, they lost the magic. After I hung up, I sat in my office, a desk in the corner of the warehouse, and let myself feel it. Not triumph. Just validation. Grandpa had been right. Quality wins eventually. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. The dinner invitation came from my mother. A text message, casual and manipulative in the way only she could manage. Family dinner Sunday. Would love to see you. It's been too long. I hadn't spoken to any of them since the day they pushed me out. 20 months of silence. I almost declined. Then decided I wanted to see them. Wanted to look them in the eyes and see if they'd even acknowledge what they'd done. I showed up in jeans and a work shirt. My mother answered the door in pearls. Aaron! Oh, honey, you look! She trailed off, clearly horrified by my appearance. Busy. I look busy. The house was exactly as I remembered. My father's chair at the head of the table. Uncle Ray holding court. Evan checking his phone. We made it through appetizers before Ray brought it up. So, Aaron, I hear you've been doing some freelance work. I own a manufacturing company. Right. That. Cute venture. How's that going? Revenue hit $2 million last quarter. Silverware stopped moving. Evan looked up from his phone. $2 million? My father said. In 3 months. Yes. Ray recovered quickly. Well, that's great, really. And we've been thinking. You clearly have good instincts. Maybe there's room for collaboration. Your products under our distribution network. We could really scale this. I took a bite of salad. No thanks. Don't be hasty. We're family. We should be working together, not competing. We're not competing, Uncle Ray. I'm building. You're just existing on Grandpa's fading reputation. The table went silent. After dinner, Evan followed me to my car. Hey, wait up. Can we talk? About what? About everything. Look, I know things ended badly, but I always knew you were special, always respected what you were trying to do. I stared at him. You voted to fire me. That was business. This is personal. I think we got off on the wrong foot. The wrong foot was you stealing my grandfather's company. That's not how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. He switched. Tactics. Your products are good. Really good. Better than what we're making. What if we partnered? My distribution, your quality. We'd be unstoppable. I unlocked my car. I'm already unstoppable. I just don't need you to do it. I drove away watching him in my rearview mirror, standing in the driveway looking confused about why his charm hadn't worked. When I got home, I forwarded his follow-up email to my assistant. Subject line: create a folder called Delusional Inbox and file this there. The offer from Precision Distribution came 3 months later. They were a national wholesaler, the kind of company that could put my products in 2,000 stores across the country. The contract was exclusive. They wanted rights to distribute everything I made for the next 5 years. My lawyer reviewed it carefully. This is good, Aaron. Really good. The terms are fair. The money is substantial. And it would take you from regional to national overnight. What's the catch? No catch. They believe in your products. They've done their research. Your quality control is exceptional. Your customer satisfaction is off the charts, and you've built a brand people trust. I signed the deal on a Friday. By Monday, my products were being shipped to warehouses across the country. The revenue increase was immediate and staggering. I hired 20 more employees, bought more equipment, moved to a larger facility. And I did it all without a single dollar of debt, without compromising quality, without cutting corners. Grandpa would have been proud. My father showed up at my warehouse unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. I was on the production floor, checking a batch of wrenches for quality issues, when Maria found me. Your dad's here. I wiped my hands on a rag. Found him standing in the lobby, looking uncomfortable in his suit, surrounded by workers in coveralls and safety glasses. Dad? Aaron? This is quite a setup. What do you want? Can we talk privately? I led him to my office. He sat across from my desk, the same desk I'd bought secondhand and refinished myself. Things are bad at the company, he said without preamble. Really bad. We've lost 40% of our clients. The bank is threatening to call our line of credit. We might have to lay off half the workforce. I waited. Ray made some bad decisions. The redesign was a mistake. Evan wasn't ready for the responsibility we gave him. And you're telling me this why? Because we need help. Your help. You understand the business better than anyone. You could consult, advise, maybe even come back in a leadership role? No. Aaron, please. You sat in that boardroom and said nothing while they pushed me out. You chose them over me. Over Grandpa's legacy. Over everything we built together. I was trying to keep the peace. You were being a coward. His face reddened. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You let Ray destroy everything Grandpa worked for because you were too weak to stand up to your brother, and now you want me to fix it? For old time's sake? We're family. Family shows up. Family has your back. You failed at both. I stood. I think you should leave. Aaron, get out of my building, Dad. He left. I closed my office door and stood there for a long time, waiting for the guilt to come. It never did. The National Manufacturing Expo was the biggest trade show of the year. 3 days, 50,000 attendees, every major player in the industry. I'd been once before, 5 years ago, with Grandpa. We'd walked the floor together, him pointing out competitors, explaining strategy, teaching me to read the room. This year, I went with my own booth. Modest, size, elegant design. Product displays that let the tools speak for themselves. No flashy gimmicks, just craftsmanship. Castellano Manufacturing had a booth too, huge. Prime location near the main entrance. Massive banners. Product demonstrations, a cocktail bar, everything designed to impress. Everything except the actual products. I watched from across the floor as attendees stopped at their booth, picked up tools, examined them, and moved on. Polite smiles, non-committal nods, no real interest. Then they'd wander to my booth, pick up a wrench, test the weight, check the precision. Their faces would change. Recognition, respect, interest. This is real quality, one contractor said, running his hand over a level. Like the old Castellano stuff used to be. It's better, his colleague added. Erin Castellano isn't resting on her grandfather's reputation, she's building her own. By day 2, my booth was packed. Buyers, distributors, industry press. Everyone wanted to know about the woman who was quietly revolutionizing American manufacturing. Castellano Manufacturing's booth was empty, except for sales reps looking increasingly desperate. Uncle Ray called me on the last day of the expo. We need to talk. I'm busy. Erin, you're killing us out there. Every client who stops by your booth used to be ours. You're eating into our market share. Maybe you should make better products. This isn't a joke. You're destroying the family business. I'm running my business. What you do with yours is your problem. What if we could work together? License your designs through our brand. We'd pay royalties, give you creative control. No. You haven't even heard the offer. I don't need to. I'm not interested in helping you profit from Grandpa's work while you did everything possible to undermine what he built. That's not fair. We're trying to honor his legacy. By firing his granddaughter and replacing quality with cheap knockoffs, that's honoring him. Silence. I think we're done here, Uncle Ray. You're going to regret this. I doubt it. I hung up and went back to my booth, where a line of interested buyers was waiting. The cease and desist letter was sent 3 weeks after the expo. My lawyer delivered it personally to Castellano Manufacturing's headquarters. They'd launched a new product line. Premium tools for professionals. The designs looked familiar, very familiar, because they were based on prototypes I'd developed 3 years ago. Designs I'd left behind when they pushed me out. Designs I'd patented under my name 6 months before they tried to use them. My lawyer, Patricia, called after the delivery. They're panicking. Their counsel is claiming the designs were work product developed during your employment. Except, I have dated notebooks, proving I developed them on my own time. And the patents are filed in my name alone. Exactly. They have no case, but they might try to fight anyway out of spite. Let them. I have documentation for everything. The lawsuit came 2 days later. Castellano Manufacturing v. Erin Castellano, claiming theft of intellectual property, breach of fiduciary duty, and tortious interference. It was desperate and baseless, but it was also expensive and public, which is exactly what I'd been counting on. The family held an emergency board meeting. I knew because Maria texted me a photo of the agenda she'd seen on Ray's desk. Crisis management strategy, financial restructuring options, potential asset sales. They were in serious trouble. The lawsuit was costing them money they didn't have. Clients were abandoning them in droves. Employee morale was in the toilet. And then someone, probably my father, based on Maria's intel, suggested the unthinkable. What if we ask Erin for help? According to Maria, the room went silent. She'd never agree, Evan said. We have to try, my father replied. We're out of options. Ray, apparently, said nothing, which meant he knew. It was true. They sent my mother as an emissary, probably figured I wouldn't turn away my own mom. They were wrong. The meeting happened at a neutral location, a conference room at Patricia's law firm. My mother, Ray, and their attorney on one side, Patricia and me on the other. Thank you for agreeing to meet, their attorney began. Let's skip the pleasantries, I said. What do you want? Ray leaned forward. We want to end this lawsuit, and we want to talk about a partnership. I'm listening. Your products are superior. We acknowledge that. What if we licensed your designs? You'd get royalties, creative control, and access to our distribution network. Your distribution network is failing. Why would I want access to that? Then what do you want? I slid a folder across the table. Patricia had prepared it beautifully. Every page documented, every number verified. I want full ownership. You sell me the company. I'll pay fair market value based on current revenue and assets. You walk away with cash. I get the company, the name, and the facility. That's insane, Ray sputtered. This company is worth millions. Was worth millions. Currently, based on your financial disclosures, you're worth about $2 million. And that's being generous. Your debt load is substantial. Your client list is shrinking. Your reputation is damaged. I pulled out another page. I'm offering $2.3 million, all cash. Closes in 30 days. We'd never agree to that, Ray said. Then I'll watch you go bankrupt and buy the assets from the liquidator for half that price. Your choice. My mother looked horrified. Aaron, this is your father's company. This is my grandfather's company. Dad just worked there. And he let you destroy it. They didn't agree that day, walked out insulted and angry. Ray threatened to fight harder. Evan posted something vague on LinkedIn about family values. Then their CFO quit, took a job with a competitor, and made it clear in his exit interview that the company was mismanaged and heading for bankruptcy. Major suppliers started demanding payment up front instead of extending credit. Banks wouldn't refinance their debt. The lawsuit discovery process revealed financial mismanagement that made their board nervous. Clients kept leaving. Employees kept updating their resumes. And my offer sat on the table, ticking like a time bomb. They came back 6 weeks later, desperate, defeated. We'll accept your offer, Ray said. Couldn't even look at me. Good, my attorney will send the paperwork. There's one condition, my father said. We want to stay involved. Advisory roles. Keep our titles, no, Aaron, please. You can accept my offer and walk away with dignity and cash, or you can reject it and watch everything Grandpa built get sold off piece by piece. Those are your only options. They signed 3 days later. The documents were filed quietly. No press release, no announcement, just legal paperwork transferring ownership of Castellano Manufacturing from Ray and my father to me. I closed the deal on a Friday, spent the weekend reviewing every file, every contract, every employee record. Monday morning, I walked into the building for the first time in 3 years. The lobby still had Grandpa's photo on the wall. Founder and CEO, 1985 to 2020. I stood there for a long moment, remembering how proud he'd been of this place. I'm going to fix it, I whispered to his photo. I promise. Then I went upstairs to the executive offices. The meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. I'd sent calendar invites to every member of senior leadership. Ray, Evan, my father, the VP of sales, the head of manufacturing who'd been Ray's yes man for years. They filed in looking nervous. Sat around the same conference table where they'd pushed me out 3 years ago. I stood at the head of the table, placed a folder in front of each of them. Open them, I said. They did. Inside were termination letters. Effective immediately. Severance. Packages that met legal requirements but nothing more. You're firing us? Ray's voice was incredulous. I'm restructuring. This company has no room for people who see loyalty as weakness and quality as optional. You can't do this, Evan said. We have contracts. I can. And I am. Your contracts included moral turpitude clauses. The financial mismanagement alone qualifies. The product quality issues. The vendor problems. All documented. All grounds for termination. I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I gave you a chance to walk away with dignity. You chose to fight. Now you leave with nothing but what I'm legally required to give you. This is vindictive, Ray said. This is business. You taught me that, remember? Nothing personal. Just business. Security was waiting outside. I'd arranged it in advance. They escorted each executive out. Professionally, quietly. As my father passed me, he finally looked up. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. No, he'd be ashamed of you. The restructuring took 3 months. I brought back employees who'd been forced out, promoted people who'd been overlooked, implemented the quality control systems Ray had dismantled. I renamed the company Castellano Legacy Manufacturing, made it clear this was about honoring what Grandpa built, not just continuing it. I converted part of the warehouse into a community makerspace, free access for local schools and trade programs, teaching the next generation that manufacturing could be a career worth pursuing. I hired Maria as my executive assistant, brought in Tom from Hendricks Supply as VP of Sales, built a leadership team of people who understood that quality and integrity weren't just buzzwords. Within 6 months, clients were coming back. New orders were coming in. The reputation was rebuilding. I hung Grandpa's letter in my office, read it every morning before starting work. Let it remind me why I was doing this. I never answered another call from my family. Not Ray's angry voicemails. Not Evan's attempts to connect on LinkedIn. Not my mother's emails asking when we could move past this. Not even my father's letter, handwritten, apologizing for everything and asking if we could rebuild our relationship. I read it once, then filed it away. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. Some relationships are only toxic in retrospect, once you have the distance to see them clearly. They'd made their choices. I'd made mine. 2 years after buying the company, I attended the National Manufacturing Expo again. This time, our booth was the biggest on the floor. Prime location, but we didn't need flash. The products spoke for themselves. The industry press was there. One headline caught my eye. Legacy Rebuilt: How Erin Castellano Outclassed an Empire with Her Grandfather's Values. The article detailed everything: the firing, the patents, the startup, the buyout, the resurrection of quality American manufacturing. I was interviewed by 3 reporters. That day, they all asked the same question: how does it feel? Like I kept a promise, I said, to someone who believed in me when nobody else did. That night, alone in my hotel room, I pulled up photos on my phone. Grandpa in his workshop. The 2 of us at a trade show. Him teaching me to use a lathe when I was 12. We did it, I whispered to his picture. Your way. The right way. And somewhere, I knew he was smiling. Because success isn't about revenge. It's not about proving people wrong or making them pay. It's about building something real, something that lasts, something that honors the people who believed in you when you needed it most. My family pushed me out of Grandpa's company, so I used his hidden blueprints, his values, and his vision to build something better. And then I bought their company out from under them and rebuilt it the way it should have been all along. Not for revenge, for legacy. And that's worth more than any boardroom victory ever could be. Have you ever been pushed out by people who underestimated you? Share your story. Tag someone who's building something real despite the doubters. Because the best revenge isn't destruction, it's building something they could never imagine.